To hear the entire show and many others, visit www.PureMomentumNetwork.
In my life, I have, for the most part, realized that is such an upside down way of understanding it all, that it's rather a question of giving ourselves, small s, back to ourselves, capital S, the truth of who we are. And the doing of that requires very little in terms of prescribed ways of doing a thing that could be deemed right, or doing it that could be deemed wrong. So, we need to have a complete relook at what we're currently offering people as the way of freeing ourselves from an addiction that will actually truly at the same time, and for the very first time, give to the person in addiction what they're truly looking for, the truth about who they really are.
Yes, I love it. I love it, John. That's absolutely my message. We've got to go back to who we are. And something you said in chapter 2 was, you are not and never can you be separated from your source. And if people knew that, I don't mean just read it, but knew that, that would be enough to free them from their addiction.
So yeah, here are, if you wish, what I describe, Pamela, as the 4 things to remember when otherwise you forget to remember, if you're with me. Because it's so easy to keep forgetting to remember when there's such a lot of this other stuff coming in, telling us who we are and what we're supposed to be doing in order to make it through life. So
Right.
The 4 key things, and they're all levels of conscious awareness that we have to constantly go back to and remember whenever we have forgotten to remember them. The first is the very one you mentioned. I am not, and never can I be, separated from the source of life that's sourcing me. Now just hold that for a second. Everyone that's listening, hold that in your heart, if you would, for a second. Because as you do, you will realize the truth of it. I am not, and never can I be, separated from the source that's currently sourcing me. My eyelids are flickering. My heart is still beating. My pulse is pulsating. Therefore, I am being. I don't have to think about it. In fact, most of the time, I'm not.
Right.
My being is being me.
Right.
The next thing to remember, whenever we do forget to remember, I am who I say that I am. So you make that powerful presence of self present wherever, however, with whomever you are present. And immediately you do that, it's not possible for the other in your life to not do the same. Because their soul will immediately meet the powerful presence of your own, rather than your fearful, ego, identified self drawing similarly their own to the fore.
Wonderful, wonderful.
The third wave, if you just stay with me, Pamela, for a little while on this one, is I cannot not, therefore, create. In some of the religions, certainly in the Christian one, which happens to be, my origin, the one I was born into, would be that we're made in the image and the likeness of the Creator. Now, religions don't often get very much right, but that's as near to getting something very true as maybe you'll find, because think of the words of that. Made in the image of, which means the image of, and in the likeness, same as the Creator. We are never separated from that source. And therefore, we also cannot not create. Now, we do have to be careful to recognize what it is we're creating, because we can create havoc in our life and deep misery as much as and as easily as we can create magnificence. Yeah. So be careful what it is that we're selecting, but know that we cannot not create. And finally, the fourth thing to remember whenever you do forget to remember, the meaning of life is the meaning that I give to it, that you give to it. That's it. How could it be anything else other than that when you're and cannot be separate from the source? That source in you. Be that source. Be that source.
Amazing, John. That is so absolutely beautiful. I closed my eyes while you were talking so I could visualize that, and I could, I can feel it on many levels, and feeling it for myself and feeling it for my fellow human beings. Those four things are enough to pull us out of the entrainment that has trapped us and taken our freedom.
Sure. That's wonderful. It did take me, like it will take most people, a length of time in my life to reach the point that I'm now able to speak with you and with everyone listening what I'm speaking. Because of course, I too came through a process of becoming that which I had learned to be, and then having to unlearn that and unknow that in order to find at last the freedom in my heart that my heart was always yearning to express and to live. Yeah. And then when I met the many people who were in addiction, desperately looking for the same freedom and same expression, it was very easy for me to identify with their pain, but at the same time, very easy too to identify with that same very joy-filled excitement that hadn't gone anywhere, but was very, very much in their heart and soul, and at every aspect of themselves at cellular level, but just awaiting the permission, the little invitation from life, which is constantly coming to us through life, to come and step forth and to make that presence felt. A little bit earlier, you took a little bit from my book and you said, that, of course, that it's a learned thing, that we've learned to think and behave the way we have. And when a person currently is in addiction, and maybe at best in their recovery process is going to a meeting, an AA meeting or an NA meeting, and, if that is the only process made available to them, then, well done that person. But there comes a time too when even that means available to us isn't quite going to be enough, because that too has still, quite a limiting look at ourselves and at life. It would be a wonderful thing, for example, if a person were able to attend a meeting like that, and rather than just repetitiously follow the person who's gone before them and announce themselves as, my name is John and I am an alcoholic, or my name is Susan and I am a recovering addict, what a detrimental thing that is to say to you about your being.
Right.
That's not who you are. That is who you've maybe learned to become, but it's not who you are.
Right.
Wouldn't it be an awesome thing if a person were able to go to a meeting and declare and announce, my name is John, and I am infinitely greater than my thoughts would otherwise have me think I am.
Wow, that would be so beautiful. That would throw a brick right through the middle of their meeting. So they'd have to stop and teach them what they needed to say.
Absolutely. The person risking that would possibly risk being put out of the meeting, but wouldn't it be worth it? Because do you know what? That, unfortunately, is what is still lacking right across the board. Certainly not just in the addiction field, but you see it there very, very evidently. Right. The person desperately wanting more, and as yet just not being able to be afforded to them in the ready means that, well, certainly in the ready means that I'm expressing through the message of the book, Pamela, but in the way in which life does work, it's always granting us the permission. It's always giving us the opportunity. What we've made of life, the limitation we've actually placed on it, however, trying to live within the confines of that has created all the problems that we think of as being problematic.
To hear the entire show and many others, visit www.puremomentum.net.